Thank you so much for inviting me to this opportunity to share about our work. When I heard or sharing, I certainly see that your personal interest to learn about the parenting itself. So we can talk about it at a later time. I prepared some presentation about how we started our journey and how we work with Intel. I think that could be relevant to the domain of your work when it comes to social impact. And that's my girl. And she was 1 years old. So she's now 10. Yes. I think that we all share the same concern and same interest related to raising children in the digital age. I have 2 kids, 8 and 10 years old. I started my journey of not-for-profit 10 years ago. My background is that I did a statistic, as she said. My PhD is in statistics, and then I worked in Harvard for 6 years, PhD and postdoc. And then I joined the Boston Consulting Group. I worked there for 5 years. And then I became a mom. There was a horrible incident in Korea when I was in Silicon Valley, in Boston Consulting Group. The 8-year-old girl was raped by a child porn addict in Korea. It was 8 a.m. It was a huge scandal in Korea. So I was reading this newspaper in Silicon Valley, and I was so upset because I was actually specialized in digital media, and at the same time I saw that this child porn addict is just what he has done is horrible. So I was reading the newspaper, and the top news is about this story about girls, 8-year-old girl raped. And bottom I saw that actually porn image as advertisement. And actually the title in Korean is a 16-year-old girl is inviting me to my bed. So I felt that there's something wrong in this society. You know, what kind of message we are actually giving to our next generation. At the time in Korea, the game addiction rate raised up to 20%. It was 10 years ago. Korea is one of the most problematic when it comes to this issue. So I felt that it is not really about individual kids. It's not just individual child porn addict. It is really about something about society is going wrong. So I started the Infolution Zero movement in Korea. It's like a pollution. It's an information pollution. How can we deal with it in a systematic way, a societal way, working with not just about individual parents, policy, corporates, the leaders work together. So that's how I started this whole journey. And 10 years later, it was our research published at the World Economic Forum in 2018. We look at the 30 countries around the world, and then we look at only 8 to 12 years old and their exposure to celebrities. Honestly, I was quite shocked. We found that 56% of children 8 to 12 years old exposed to at least one cyber-risk. Cyberbullying, game addiction, offline meeting with strangers, or exposure to the sexual behavior. So 1 out of 2. It was a shocking news. So Singapore is about 54%, slightly lower than average. But what was more depressing actually was that this is what we call ICT emerging countries. When we compare to, like, Singapore is not emerging country, it's advanced country. Korea, Singapore, there's a lack of correlation between the mobile penetration and children at risk. Because, you know, we in Singapore, Korea, US, UK, even though we are not perfect, we've heard about it, parents are concerning, Singtel is working, IDMD is working, but a lot of countries, our neighborhood country, Malaysia, Indonesia, Vietnam, and this country, because their internet penetration go up really high. I talked to a minister in Myanmar before, and he told me that within 1 year, the internet penetration 8% to 90% within 2 years. So when they have no infrastructure, and when there is no social infrastructure to protect children, we see that internet mobile equals a risk. So it was a really daunting problem, because if you see that next 50% of internet users, online users, will come from those regions. So you see that exponential growth if we don't make an action right now. It's going to be the generational issue of cyberbullying and all these issues. We think of it as an individual parental issue, but no, it is really the generational and societal issue. So this is my journey with Singtel. You see that Singtel over there. I met Bunchung in 2014. So I share with you, I started in Korea. I moved to Singapore 9 years ago. And then I worked through the Nanyang Technological University. So when I actually developed the IT Hero program in Korea, I made it just for my kids. Initially I worked with policymakers and government, and I really became sick and tired of politicians. I'm sorry, it should not be recorded. I felt like I put so much effort in here, and then why am I, like getting myself into so much trouble? So let's do something fun. So that was a pure motivation. I started this education journey. So I actually looked at my kids. That was about 3 and 5 years old, and said, hey, why don't we make something for them? So IT Hero is purely targeting my kids and say, hey, let's make them a hero. We cannot block them. Even though whatever filtering program you have, we cannot block them. It's now with IoT will come. Your refrigerators will talk to your kids. So there's no way. So, right? So it is really more about how we can empower individual young kids to become an independent thinker. Who knows, you share about that your young kids are even better than us about telling about fake news. Yes, that's exactly what we want to do. So I started journey, and then when I moved to NTU, I worked with NIE, and we made it to research-based projects. And in 2013, we made an IT Hero exhibition in Singapore Science Center. It was demolished recently, but it was there for 5 to 6 years. And after that, I started working with Touch because they were our vendor. And then one day, one of the trainer came to my office and they said, hey, Dr. Park, do you want to talk to Singtel? Of course, why not? And next day I met Bunchung. That was 2014, and then we worked together until now. But my journey is, I cannot actually talk about my journey without Singtel. Because Singtel is, I love Bunchung and Andrew. They're really rare leaders in CSR who say, I trust you, let's do it together. And it is really, really important for people like me. And if someone can say, and I want to have KPI 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm going to check you every 5 months, and then a researcher and like free spirit like us is like, oh my goodness, because it takes time to nurture. And what we found is that we actually upgraded our program every year. That was possible because of Singtel.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm going to keep singing the song.
No.
But it's interesting that 2014, we had a huge event together. And then we did an IT Hero Challenge, nationwide cyber wellness initiative for primary schools. And I realized at the time 3 things. So 3 problems. One is that there is no holistic curriculum. Mm-hmm. And people say, hey, don't do it, don't do cyberbullying. What do you mean by don't do cyberbullying? Don't do play game, and I'm going to disconnect you. It doesn't work. They'll go somewhere else, and you guys are going to put them into more bigger trouble. Mm-hmm. And third, there's no metrics. So there's no way for us to understand what is my children's status. So I developed the concept of the digital intelligence. Well, after looking at all this, I realized it is not about cyberbullying issue. It is not about the telcos doing bad thing. It's not about anybody, the parents are not doing the right thing. It is really about the curriculum. It is about the holistic education, right? So when we think about, someone said about the coding, right? When people say about digital skill, the first thing they say, hey, I'm going to do the coding. I need to teach coding. I was in Davos, and when I first came to Davos in 2016, the head of the General Electronics, he said, the CEO said, hey, if you don't know the coding, I'm not going to hire you. There will be zero employee who don't know about coding. So I was like, what the heck? But that's how the people see the coding now. And it is inevitable. But at the same time, are we going to put our children in front of a computer just to learn coding? Are they really learning coding? We don't know, right? So it is about the whole curriculum of digital skills. So we developed the concept of digital intelligence. It is beyond just the coding. It is beyond just the literacy. It's just beyond about the citizenship. So we look at the 8 different areas of digital skills. I didn't present it, but we look at the 3 different levels. First, citizenship, because we want everybody to become ethical citizens. This is life skill. And second, we need to learn creativity. And then third, competitiveness and entrepreneurship. So I published this article at the World Economic Forum in 2015. And then it became quite popular. In 2017, I was in Davos. And then there was a really great timing. 2016, when I was in Davos, when I presented about cyber wellness and all this, nobody cared. Literally nobody cared. And in 2017, Donald Trump got elected. And then all of a sudden, in the Davos, the world leaders say, hey, where is the digital literacy? Hey, well, how can we teach about online safety? How can we fight against fake news? So we were there, presented, hey, we've developed the concept, we developed the framework, we developed the children program, let's roll it out. So DK Every Child was born at the Davos, and it became the global movement. So that's when we set up the DK Institute as a virtual institute. And then, at the end of the 2017, I got a call from IEEE. IEEE is the biggest association in the technology world. And they wanted to set up a global standard for the industry, for the digital skills. So they told me, well, we look at the 100 different literature, and we found we like the DQ best. We want to make it into global standard. So I say, oh, thank you, why not, right? Thank you very much. But I found that this is only half of the story. Technology world, industry is one part, but it has to start with education. So I called the OECD and hey, do you want to combine together? So OECD, World Economic Forum, and IEEE. We started a global coalition called Coalition for Digital Intelligence, and they decided to use the DQ as a global standard. So we made a quite a good progress, but one of the things I really like is, I don't know, this is a new slide. I like this title. Forget IQ, digital intelligence will be what matters in the futures. What we want to really position DQ is not just about the safety, it's not just about literacy, it is a new intelligence that is needed for the future. So, as I shared with you, it's 8 different dimensions and 3 different levels. And we try to simplify, but in depth, we have knowledge, skills, attitude, and value. We developed the curriculum, and we actually put out the first global standard in March. If you're interested, I will happy to share the white papers. But DQ is a more global, the global and biggest concept. But what I really personally care is the citizenship. The first level life skill that every kid must have. So I look at the cyber issue that children are most exposed to. Cyberbullying, about 50%. At least one time they have exposed to cyberbullying. Cybercrime and threats, we don't have to talk about it. Fake news, we don't have to talk about it. Privacy invasion, violent and inappropriate materials, and online grooming and technology overuse. These are the, I think everybody will share the like, yeah, this is my kid's problem. Right? So we look at how we can ensure children to have the right skills to prevent and overcome and be ethical. So first, we believe that it is about starting with the strong identity of digital citizen and digital leader. If you come to the dqworld.net, our children program, first thing we teach is that you're a digital leader. We don't start with don't start fighting, don't bullying, stop using. We start with you are a digital leader. Let's live up to our digital leader as a standard. So we talk about what you mean by ethical digital citizen, and we talk about how you manage your screen time. It is not about don't use it, it's about balanced use. Right? How we can cultivate self-control with them. And then cyberbullying management. This is a really serious issue. 1 out of 2. And this, when you see the trolls and everything now, fake news and all those spike, the first thing that you have to learn is how to do this. Do not escalate the situation, how to wisely cope with that. Cybersecurity management, which is very basic cybersecurity. Do you have a password in your mobile? Check your husband. My husband don't have it. So it started a very simple thing. And digital empathy is hugely important. We don't just talk about this, don't do cyberbullying, we talk about how you become empathetic online. And digital footprint is basis of all the communications. Now you live online, then that means you are putting your footprint. How you manage it, how to positively control it. Most importantly is about the critical thinking. All the threat. Critical thinking is a fundamental of everything, right? How to discern good information to bad information, good content to bad content, and good content from the bad content. So we teach them about how to actually encounter, when you can encounter the new, actually someone strange should tell you what is the thing that you have to be mindful of. And when you see the fake news, how can you discern it? And then the lastly, which I think is quite important and basic, is privacy management, which is, we actually, the Mark Zuckerberg long time say there is no privacy anymore. We are living in the AI world. Our data is public data. But what does it mean in the privacy? It's actually basic human right. So children need to learn about what is their human right in the digital age, which I think is a fundamental skill of which everybody has to have. So, DQ every child is basically, we want every child to have this must-have skill. There's no exception. And then we, if you go to dqworld.net, any kids in Singapore can access to dqworld.net thanks to Singtel. And then we have, and they will get, when they complete it, they will get the result. If you go to App Store, thanks to Turkcell, we have, yeah. And then when children complete it, children will get their score. And then they will, this score will be go to the parents. And parents will know very details about your child online behavior. We don't actually make this DQ score to judge your kids. Hey, how come you're not even 100? Don't do that. We have a very detailed parental program to actually how to use it. But this is a starting point for you to discuss with your kids. Because, like, and the problem that I always face, I am a parent. I love not a newbie. But I seldom check it. The reason is I know most of them. I actually can write it. But more importantly, it is not about my kids, right? When my kids, when I see my kids are addicted in something, I will start using another newbie and say, hey, how can we deal with this? When there is somebody here who actually, if most of kids, even if they get cyberbullied, they will not want to tell you. And when you also understand about your children's cyber exposure, how are you going to deal with it? Right? So first level that we have to have is understanding of our children. So this is what the DQ, what secure DQ every child is about. So we actually do the learning by assessment and scorecard, and we give the parenting card. So yeah.
Can I?
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah, there is a.
So how, I'm just curious to know, how do you stage the curriculum based on the age? Because, so for example, an 8-year-old and the way they receive information, how they digest it versus a 9 or a 10, 11, 12, whatever, like, I mean, there's a big difference. So how do you sort of tackle that? Because I know you've implemented it in schools are competing with each other, classes are competing, it's fabulous, but just practically speaking, how do you stage it?
So what we say is that there was a many years, MOE actually told me that can you make it into like 6-year program? And then I actually get the request a lot of times like that. But what I actually, the reason I developed the DQ child is just very simple. Before you drive, you know how to drive. It is not something you want to like segment it. This is something you have to learn. You have to know, regardless of your age. So best age I target is 9 years old. 9 years old because when we see the statistic, 10 years old, they're actually 9 to 10 years old is the time half of our children, we have to move out, get around the 9 to 10. And then 9 years old, they actually understand this concept. 8 years old, your kid's ambassador, probably she will understand. But many kids have a different level. Even within the same level, they're very different. So my recommendation is that my girl, 6 years old, she completed everything. My boy, I'm sorry, he's been a little bit slower, please don't touch me. Than my girl, he actually completed around the age of 9. So it's very different. And I can share with you about the more personally about the other resources. I don't really say that DQ is everything. DQ is a great concept, great framework. I'm very happy that it is becoming the gold standard. It will influence the nations. It will influence the industry. I'm very proud of that. But there are so many great programs. As the Bunchung say, digital thumbprint, cybersecurity, so many great programs. So this is just one program that you can use for your kids, especially checking your DQ score, just like a vaccine, but I will help you to find a good program for your kids.
Can you just quickly add,
Sure.
in case you're still wondering what DQworld.net looks like, it is actually really meant for the kids. It is like a manga, the Japanese characters, cartoon characters, very engaging, that kind of storyline. So it appeals to the young, and probably not the older children.
Yes, and then actually it goes back to why I started. It was really for my kids. And then when they're young, my character was much younger. And then it's very, very self-interest seeking. But anyway, our curriculum is really targeted around the 9. The reason is that we found that the parents cannot teach. Teachers cannot teach. It has to be self-taught. So we use animation and manga style to tell the story, and when children can complete all this program by themselves. And then when they're done, we get the data. We have the biggest data set in the world. And then our result is quite scientific. We are science-based. The Nature top journal in the scientific world published our result, and our result has been highlighted. I am very confident that we are one of the top in the program. Thankfully, thanks to our Donald Trump, we became the global movement. And our program has been used by more than 80 countries. We have about 100 partners. Our program has been translated into 21 languages. So far, we touched about 750 children within 2 years, so we are quite fast. And you can see that there's the AIS. We are doing AIS this year. And then we are launching the new language in Saudi Arabia and Arabic languages as well. So this is some photos. I know that if I put this too, Bunchung will say, no more, so I put the lecture syllabus.
It's okay,
So the reason I actually put the three actually telco are their nation level partner for us. But at the same time, I found that there's such a actually urgency of leadership in telco about it's not just about as we share it with friends. It's not just individual program. This is really societal program that we want to work together. I can tell you in length about what we have done with Singtel. We have done so many things, but I'll skip it because Bunchang is a bit embarrassed by it.
Maybe just highlight the two mascots you can see. So there's those two are the key. Maybe I'll talk about the mascot.
Yeah, so this is Roz, and you can see the small Roz, the cute one. So Roz is the one that I designed it with actually my son. Roz symbolizes respect. I want I felt that cyber wellness and digital citizenship is really about the respect. Respect for myself, identity, respect for the resources, my time. This is about digital use and screen time. Respect for others is about cyberbullying and others. So we actually made this is a respect, and in the comic character, it grows when children learn about digital citizenship. And this is a master, IZ master. It's like a Shifu type of guy. So basically, yeah, it's Bunchang.
So the main character, this boy is JJ. So Raz is like his Titan pet, and he can the powers and whatnot. So it's really very interesting for kids.
Yeah. So actually for
this
is a map, and this is a comic. So if anybody interested, and then I'm happy to share these comics and book. So now we have grown into a global standard, and then we actually grow our initiative from DQ for every child to DQ for all. So this is, we just had a New York UN high policy event. We encourage the nations to adopt the DQ pledge. But I am more working on DQ every child. There's so many other people working together as a coalition. But since this is about company for good, I really see that this is really also company can actively participate. Right? Not just about school, not just about family. Because what I see that ensuring your well-being of your employees, family is a starting point for building the healthy culture in your company, and also a healthy company is reflecting as a digital readiness. Singapore, the reason that I was successful in the last 10 years is because of Singtel, but at the same time because of Singapore. Because I was in Singapore, I believe. Because it's really focusing on the digital readiness and digital transformation as a nation and smart nations. But its basis is healthy digital culture. So I was thinking, how can we do it together, right? So if I was thinking about if I were in your shoes, it may be the possible things that you can do. So first, you want to run the company-wide campaign, right? You want to raise awareness. It's not just about your kids, it's also about healthy digital culture. And then EDB is helping us to go to the companies to actually have the lunch seminar. So if you're interested in, please let us know. And then we are going to have in Davos this year, we decided to have October 10 DQ Day. So UK, they will have the celebration, the mayors, and they will do it. But we'd like to have I am going to participate myself with social media. I'm not going to fly to UK. London, and also we have events going on in New York in the IEEE and World Economic Forum. But we'd like to do something, let's do something in here. And then we can actually help you to have the family engagement program. We can provide the DQ Every Child package. And also, I was thinking, if your company is engaging and top 1 children coming up, then we can provide the free Singtel DQ school package to the school. That would be really exciting, right? And then I think, one of the things, as Bunchang said, I'm a statistician. I love numbers. That's what I do. And we will help your companies to have the impact report of how you actually, your family, the company's well-being has increased and your children has become more healthier. And we have a teacher for all mark that we've been starting to do it in a global level, help you to have your company for the promotion. And also, for Singtel, we always work together and then we highlight the global impact. Likewise, we want to do it further. So I will shut up here. We're going to have a more interesting discussion now, but do you have any question related to the presentation?
So for the assessment, for example, a child will read once they get a score. Do we have to like track them as they kind of grow up to see whether there is any improvement?
Yes, yeah. That's also because of our children program has a before and after. So we can see that before the program and after the program, we will see the improvement. I brought.
What is that?
Yeah, this booklet. So we have this. We started the campaign with the thing about I'll use your child learning for this smartphone. And then this is actually the curriculum checklist. Yeah. So you can use it today. Yeah. It's has it here. Yeah.
So the program is free and you can do it on your own?
Yeah.
Like for the kids?
Exactly. Yep. Thanks to Singtel.
Really?